The blood beneath Adrian Mercer's fingernails identified his killer. There was only one problem. The woman it belonged to had been dead for 6 years. Her body had been cremated. Her death certificate was genuine. According to every official record, Elena Ward had never even entered the city where Mercer died. Yet the laboratory called the match absolute. Detective Elias Vane did not ask how a dead woman had returned. He asked a more dangerous question. What if the DNA was telling the truth? But the police were asking it the wrong question. This is an original fictional case created for CrimeChronicals. The people, places, and events are not real. At 6:48 on a rain-heavy Monday morning, a cleaner opened room 614 of the Bellwether Hotel. Adrian Mercer was sitting beside the window, still wearing the charcoal suit he had checked in with the night before. A lamp was broken. One chair had been overturned. His left hand was closed tightly around a torn strip of silver fabric. There was no weapon in the room. The door had been locked from the inside. The windows did not open. Hallway cameras showed nobody entering after Mercer arrived at 9:14, and nobody leaving before the cleaner raised the alarm. Mercer was a criminal defense attorney whose clients included traffickers, corrupt executives, and men wealthy enough to make witnesses disappear. He had enemies, but the room appeared to have none. Then the medical examiner found blood beneath 3 of Mercer's fingernails. It did not belong to him. Investigators ran the profile through the national database. The result appeared in 11 minutes. Elena Ward, born in 1989, no criminal convictions. Deceased 6 years earlier after complications from leukemia. Her ashes had been collected by her older sister, Sofia. Sofia vanished 3 weeks later. The laboratory repeated the test twice. Every result was the same. Captain Mara Quinn believed the sample had been contaminated. Elias Vane did not. Contamination was a convenient word. It explained an impossible result without explaining how it happened. Vane stood inside room 614 and studied what everyone else had dismissed. Mercer's watch had stopped at 10:31. Hotel cameras showed movement beneath his door at 10:48. 17 minutes later, the minibar held 2 glasses. Mercer's fingerprints were on one. The second carried saliva from an unidentified man, but not a single usable fingerprint. The strip of silver fabric in Mercer's fist had not been torn during a struggle. Its edge was straight and heat-sealed. It had been cut in advance. The room had not preserved a crime scene. It had been arranged to perform one. Vane requested Elena Ward's medical records. Most had been destroyed after the private clinic that treated her closed. One surviving page contained a single line that changed the case. Allogeneic stem cell transplant. Donor accepted. Full engraftment achieved. Elena had received blood-forming stem cells from another person. After a successful transplant, a recipient's blood can carry the donor's genetic profile. One human body can therefore produce biological samples that appear to belong to 2 different people. Vane read the line again. The blood under Mercer's nails might match Elena Ward, but that did not mean it came from Elena Ward. The official transplant register listed Elena's donor only as female, related, and medically compatible. There was one obvious possibility: Sofia Ward. Police had treated Sofia's disappearance as grief, followed by a voluntary escape. She emptied her bank account, abandoned her apartment, and left no forwarding address. Vane examined the original missing person file. The bank withdrawal was made at 11:56 in the morning. Security footage from that branch had been lost, but a parking ticket placed Sofia's car 17 kilometers away only 9 minutes later. She could not have been in both places. Someone had used her card. Vane ordered a comparison between the crime scene blood and a hair recovered from Sofia's old winter coat. The profiles did not match. Sofia was not the person who bled in room 614. She had not donated the cells that transformed Elena's blood. Someone had changed the transplant record. Mercer's final phone call led investigators to Celeste Rowe, owner of an exclusive escort agency called the House of Glass. Publicly, it arranged private companionship for wealthy clients. Secretly, Celeste recorded them, politicians, judges, surgeons, property developers. Mercer had spent years protecting the agency from prosecution, but 48 hours before his death, he told Celeste he was leaving and taking copies of her client archive with him. Celeste denied killing him. She gave Vane the names of everyone who knew about the archive. One name appeared repeatedly in Mercer's financial records: Marcus Vale, an accountant with no criminal history, no visible wealth, and access to every payment moving through the House of Glass. When questioned, Marcus was calm. He had never visited the Bellwether Hotel, he said. He had spent the entire night alone. Vane placed a photograph of Elena Ward in front of him. Marcus looked at it for less than a second. Then he looked away. It was the first time his breathing changed. Vane obtained a warrant for a hair sample from Marcus. The follicle produced Marcus Vale's ordinary genetic profile. It did not match Elena. Captain Quinn thought that cleared him. Vane asked the laboratory to test Marcus's blood. That profile matched Elena Ward. Marcus had once been gravely ill. 12 years earlier, under a different surname, he had received Elena's donated stem cells. His blood-forming system had been rebuilt from hers. The case contained no resurrected victim and no supernatural killer. It contained a genetic chimera. The blood beneath Mercer's fingernails came from Marcus. The saliva on the hotel glass also came from Marcus, but it carried enough cells from his mouth to reveal a mixed profile and point toward his original identity. He had believed the blood would identify a woman who could never be questioned. He had forgotten that different tissues can tell different parts of the same person's story. DNA placed Marcus in the room, but it did not explain the locked door or the empty hallway. The answer was hidden inside Mercer's watch. Its hands had stopped at 10:31, but the internal date wheel showed microscopic damage. Someone had opened the casing and moved the hands backwards by 17 minutes. The movement beneath the door at 10:48 was not a person leaving. It was the hotel newspaper being pushed inside by the night porter. Marcus had entered much earlier, dressed in the same gray uniform worn by maintenance staff. The camera had recorded him, but nobody had searched for a man who appeared to belong there. He left before the hallway entered its overnight security cycle. The door locked automatically behind him. The silver fabric in Mercer's hand had been cut from a House of Glass curtain and planted to direct suspicion toward Celeste. The stopped watch created a false time of death. The locked room created an impossible exit. Elena's DNA created a killer who was already dead. Each clue was designed to contradict the others. Together, they identified the only person who needed all three lies. Marcus had managed the agency's hidden accounts for 9 years. Mercer discovered that he was not merely moving its money. He was selling selected recordings back to the people in them, then keeping the payments. Mercer threatened to expose him. Marcus arranged a meeting at the Bellwether and offered to purchase the archive. The argument became violent. Mercer scratched Marcus deeply enough to draw blood. Afterwards, Marcus transformed the room into a puzzle. He believed investigators would waste months chasing Elena Ward, Sofia Ward, and Celeste Rowe. When Vane explained the two DNA results, Marcus said nothing for nearly a minute. Then he smiled. "You didn't find me," he said. "You found the mistake a hospital made 12 years ago." Vane leaned across the table. "No," he replied. "The hospital gave you another life. You decided what to do with it." Marcus was charged with Mercer's murder, financial extortion, and conspiracy. But Elias Vane did not close the file. Marcus Vale was not named anywhere in Elena Ward's surviving transplant documents. Someone had removed him. The alteration was authorized by Dr. Samuel Kessler. director of the clinic that later closed without warning. Kessler had signed 3 other amended transplant files. Each belonged to a donor who died young. Each recipient later became connected to an unsolved death. 6 years earlier, Sofia Ward had discovered the same pattern. Her final unanswered phone call lasted 43 seconds. It was made to Adrian Mercer. Marcus had killed to protect one secret, but the evidence suggested someone else had built an entire system around it. Somewhere inside, 4 living bodies were the genetic identities of 4 dead people. Detective Elias Vane had no idea whether they were survivors or weapons. Case file 001 remains open. If you want Elias Vane to investigate the disappearance of Sofia Ward, subscribe to Crime Chronicles and enter the next case file.